Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. It's Happy Valentine's Day today. Happy Valentine's Day, honey. Happy Valentine's Day to your wife, Matt.
Thanks, Dave, for calling me honey.
Bumper Radio, we are helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car repair experience. I'm Dave Riccio. He's Matt Allen. And we are taking your phone calls, 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us at 411-923. We're going to be taking some emails from bumpertobumperradio.com, as well as a texting and oil changes. I think there's a little bit of difference between what people think they're doing with their car on oil changes and what the mechanics think they're doing. And this was out of a poll. There might be a miscommunication about maintenance because 86% of consumers polled responded they were vigilant about their oil change. 40% of mechanics polled they felt that there was a big neglect of oil change to the detriment of a lot of these vehicles. So the consumer thinks, hey, I'm taking care of my car, getting oil changes, doing a good job, and the mechanic's saying not so much.
Well, I'm sure there's some truth to that, and it's all perception. I mean, people feel like they're in the shop a lot, but we have some customers, they come in, it's doing 3,000 miles, they're in 2,999, and then there's some that, it says 3,000 or 5,000, we see them at 4,200 or, gosh, who knows when. But I think there's probably a little bit of reality to both of those because in the shop, we certainly see the oil changes and the effect of neglecting the
lack of oil
changes on the car. So I guess the 46%, I don't think that means 46% of the people don't do it. I'm not sure that's where the gap was, but...
Are you misquoting my numbers? It was 40%.
Oh, 40%. Well, okay, whatever. 86%. Well, you know what they say about quotes. They're just kind of made up right before they're
70% of all statistics are made up just before they're given, yes.
Right, like that one right there. But I think, the oil change is one of the easiest things to do at home. Or at least it used to be. It's one of the easiest things to screw up at home.
At least it used to be. It still is.
Yeah, and the for the shop, it's an easy thing to kind of screw up too. There's a lot of risk doing this. A very easy oil change, from just something dumb like just not paying attention and cleaning off the old oil. Where it drips down the engine or the frame rail or something like that to which is the perception of a bad job, which it would be a bad job.
Right.
The little things you can overlook, like an oil drain plug gasket or not getting the oil filter tight. And then, gosh, what about all the oils? That's the thing where it can go wrong. Besides doing something just blatantly wrong, forgetting to put the oil in. I've seen guys put oil in the transmission because it's a different thing, or not put it in the transmission, but drain the transmission oil thinking it's the engine.
Oh yeah, I've done a lot. Not a lot, but it happens. People say, hey, you went out to save $40 on your oil change and you bought a $4,000 transmission.
Yeah, because they drain the transmission oil and then go add 4 quarts of oil and rip around the block and then come check it and realize it's over full and they blew up the transmission. And I was just looking. I logged on to our shop software from here and I was looking at some of the last 10 cars in our database that we worked on. And I came up with 6 different motor oils for that. And I know we've got a lot more than that on the shelf at the shop. So, one of them, let's just say one of them was a 2011 Chevrolet product. It takes a GM specification oil, GM 4781. What the heck is that? That's a synthetic oil in a Chevy pickup truck. That's not your $29.95 oil change. So that's where it goes wrong too. That's just an oil change. I ought to be able to get. You see the coupons for $19.88, $21.95. We run a special $29.95.
You can put just about anything in there that's oil, but is it going to be good for your car? And if you're doing wrong oil change after oil change after oil change, that's not going to be good.
No, because just say you start burning oil or you have an engine-related failure or something happens in that 50,000 miles. Luckily, maybe it would happen in warranty, and then they can somehow blame or attribute your failure to using the wrong oil. Church is out, you're done. You've got no warranty. Or if you don't have the failure, it's just going to shorten the life of the engine. So you've got to be really careful with your oil changes in putting in the right oil. The other thing that people do is they go buy this car. They need a new car. They don't want to do the maintenance on their car. Maybe it's caught up, and so their maintenance has now turned into repairs and maintenance. And I'm going to go get a new car. And I've had some of these people. Actually, I had a guy that we took care of his Camry for a long time. He really loved that Camry. That just takes 530 normal oil, just what I would call normal.
Nothing boutique.
Yeah, it's just, and then he shows up. He's got his 2015 Camry. He shows up at 5,000 miles for the first oil change, and it's $70. We had to pick him up off the floor. What? And he couldn't do the oil change because he hadn't budgeted the $62 or $70, whatever it is. Well, that 2015 Camry requires a 020 synthetic motor oil.
That's different.
And he wanted us, no, I can't do that. Just put in the 530. No. No, we're not doing that. We're not going to lead you down this road. Go save another $30 and let's do the oil change right.
Well, are you saying the later the model of the car, the more expensive they are to fix? Because it's kind of one of those things where, I mean, we weren't going here, but cars are being made better and better, in my mind. But when they do need repair, they seem more expensive to fix. Because it's a $1,000 computer module, or it's a $800 this or $800 that. I mean, it seems like the repairs are more intense when they happen, but overall the cars are better.
Well, they can be, and I think it's because the manufacturers are using composite products. So what is that? It's plastic. So you've got this oil that you don't change enough, or maybe use the wrong one. Well, that oil is taking all kinds of contaminants. It's got acids, and I mean, I don't know, the list goes on. I'm not an oil expert. I'm not going to pretend to be. I just know common sense wise, there's a lot of junk and stuff in the oil that the combustion process creates, and the oil captures that, and that has to go through the PCV system. So now when what we find in these cars that haven't had their oil changed regularly, they have a propensity to leak oil more because the seal's hardened. They have crankcase ventilation problems because the PCV systems and the oil separators and flame guards get clogged up with junk, gook. Carbon in the engines, they contribute to that. So there's all kinds of things that doing what we think is a simple oil change can prevent, but the oil change isn't just so simple.
Well, I think we've gone from two extremes with oil changes, and that's why I think consumers are totally confused, because we all knew that every 3 months and 3,000 miles we got an oil change. I mean, that was for decades, was it?
Yeah, and it's still that way on some cars, too.
Well, then we went to the other extreme. We came out with synthetic oils, and we realized these things are doing a little better, lasting a little longer. The automotive manufacturers like to sell the low cost of ownership, at least the initial low cost of ownership. So they stretched out that oil change intervals, and really to the detriment to where they're finding there's problems by not coming in every 15,000 miles when the engine runs out of oil before you come back. And so we're saying, 5,000 mile oil changes still needs to be done. Even if the manual says 10,000 or 15,000 miles, that's no good.
Yeah, and I think, I had a buddy of mine bought I have a 2010 Toyota Tundra, and I think he just bought a 2014. And he asked about the oil change. He goes, geez, it says I can go 10,000 miles. Yeah, you can.
If you really want to.
I mean, I've done it a couple times. I should be changing mine every 5. I use a very good synthetic 020 oil. I want to do it at 5. I'm about 1,600 overdue right now. I'm not terribly concerned about that. But I think it's okay to stretch those a little bit. If you're very disciplined, the first half, let's just say the first 50,000 miles of the car's life, you remember, it's not just the oil change. So, yeah, you need to get the oil change, and the engine's cleaner, and it's very efficient. But as that thing ages and the computer starts adding more fuel and doing things to make up for wear and tear, you've got to get that oil out of there. And it's not just the oil. I think the oil in a lot of cases is good, but the filter technology maybe hasn't caught up with as good as the oil is, down to the ultra mini micron or whatever, how many billionths of an inch of or microns we want to allow through the oil filter. But if you get in that bad habit early, now you let the car go without oil changes later in its life, and that's where we see these extended drain intervals. You're not getting somebody to look at the car and the darn thing blows up or falls apart around in between those long oil change intervals.